on back up over there. And now let's go over to my channel. Everything should be live right now. Let's go over to content, and I'm just double checking that it's online. I need to get like an initial commercial set up here, or some video thing saying I'll be right here, or I'll be here in a minute. Let's go to this one and wait for it to show me, because YouTube's being very slow right now. Oh, that would make this slower. I'm currently broadcasting from the US, not Australia. Here or keeps it. If it manages to repair itself from the VPN. I think it's okay. Cool. All right, so that's live. All right, so the objective in this one is that I have some really bad performance on my design tool. So I have the world being procedurally generated as 329,000 points, and then points where cars could potentially travel. But it also has a separate issue. The mappings between those points, there's going to be more than one mapping, and I'm asking it to draw lines to render that, to show it what all the lines and connection points are so that I can see it. Unfortunately, that also means that it's going to be drawing like a million objects and references inside the scene. Now, even though the system is fairly performant and I'm still getting like maybe a frame or two a second, that is still incredibly painful. So my objective in this one is to try to speed things up. So the baking process, that has its own issue. That took anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour the last time I ran it. I didn't sit here the whole time, and it didn't give me any report as to when it finished. If I am going to get a report, I'm going to need a real time on here as well, so I might as well put a time in it, but I'm not planning on doing a repair on this yet. So let's just get var, what is it, stopwatch? No. Var t watch equals new system.stopwatch timer. I need the one for a stopwatch. What was this one? I just forgot it. C# stopwatch. For performance. What is it called? Stopwatch didn't bring it up. Maybe I should just try this. Stopwatch. In system diagnostics. Okay, lowercase w. All right. Stopwatch. So this one is, let's see, I need var watch equals new stopwatch. Watch.start. Okay, and at the end of it, we have watch.stop. And then debug.log. Which one is this? Procedural Traffic Designer Tribake. Tribake took plus, and what is this one? Watch dot seconds elapsed milliseconds times 1000 divided by this is not going to be a milliseconds pass item, so divided by 1000 plus what's the other one that we need? Seconds in quotes. Okay, that one should work. So at least I'll have a time for the next time that I execute this so that I can see how long it ran. Okay, but the part that I want to take care of right now is the visual of it. I need to be able to see all these points as they show up. So here we've got duplicates, we've got our updating, and what are we drawing inside of this one? We draw a solid box at each one of the points. This one I'm not concerned with. It is the traffic designer. This one has to draw everything it sees. But that's going to be painful for as a design tool when it's managing this many points. So I need to get it to not show me or care about all of them. With this in mind, I think, let's see, when I select something, I think it's okay for it to have to go through each of the points once and find that list, or find out which one of the ones is closest. Yeah, that one would be fine. However, what do I have next? Oh, so a bunch of these are going to have joined points. So, for instance, the closest point, it's multiple points will use the exact same vertice from the triangle. So that means that the actual point, we're not that close to any of them. I guess in that case, I should have it as close to the final point, which means that I need to store the final point in a list. I need to have that information separate. But yeah, I need something to make this operate faster. To begin with, I'll just reduce the number that I'm showing, but I need them to be meaningful. So I should need to get them from the frustum, which, where are my notes? Okay, so let's add something where I'm going to check the camera's position every time I get this, and I'll improve that a little bit later. Where's the code? Is that it? No, that's node remove. Here we go. Here's the draw one. So now we want to improve the performance. So for this one, I need to get the frustum. So that one is var planes equals geometry. Is that it? Geometry utility dot calculate frustum planes. So the frustum planes, these are basically the planes that show the camera's view. So the camera sees in a rectangular view that expands outward. And so as you are looking at that, and it goes out, it has 4 sets of planes it generates for that. So you can see it. And then it can calculate what shows up inside of there, which is basically just saying from this point, basically pick any point on one of the sides of on one of the planes and say from this point, get me the direction to this other one, or the angle to this other one, given a normal. So we take this point, we say a normal going inward towards what's going to show up inside the camera. It goes inward, and then we say, what's the angular difference? Now, the way that one gets done is, what was it called? Distance to point. We've got a function to get a distance to a point. Now, this one does an actual distance check, which means it's doing the square root inside, but we could write our own code. I'm not concerned with that yet. That'll be another performance improvement to do. But I don't know that code off the top of my head. All right, so inside of here, var planes, geometry, we get the planes. Oh, it needs the camera. So to get the camera, I'm going to say camera.current. So inside of this, we are in a draw update, which is in draw gizmos selected. If we have an object that's selected and we're trying to draw gizmos, then we should have a camera current, even if it's the editor camera, which I believe that supports. We'll find out in a minute, but I'm pretty sure that that'll give us the editor camera. Okay, so next, var planes geometry update. We've got this should give us the planes of the frustum. Okay, now we need to find out if a point is in that. So we need to store a list of whether or not we can actually display something. I guess from one point is, instead of before we draw the point up here, we can do a request inside of this to decide whether or not we even should. So in this one, what are we debugging? We're drawing a sphere outline for every single point in this. That's going to get expensive. So let's put a break on this. We only need to check out which item we have, to decide if that point shows up inside of our view. And so to do that, we're going to do a for each. Oh, this is going to be a horrible for each. Forget that one. We know that there's going to be 4 planes for the frustum. Ooh, maybe there are not. I wonder if it has a 5th one or a 6th one to define like the far distance and also the close distance. Does it actually give us 6 points? What is the function name? That was calculate frustum planes. Geometry utility, calculate frustum planes. How many planes? 6 planes. Okay, I was thinking 4 initially. It's 6 planes, but we know the number it's going to give us, so I don't need a for each. All right. So on this one, what do we need in this one? We're going to check to see whether or not it's in there. So for tab I equals 0, j equals 0 through 6. Okay. Now we also need to decide whether or not we're going to check these. Oh, if we do a break, we're just going to break out of this one. So if I said break, that breaks out of this for loop, but I want to break out of this for loop. Is there a way to do a double break in here? I've never questioned that. I've always escaped the loop I'm in and then usually stored a Boolean to decide whether, and check that at the end to decide if I need to break out of the other one. But maybe there's a more stable way to do it. Actually, I could just do a go-to statement. Is there a way in C# to break out of 2 loops when in the inner loop from 1 command? Okay, breaking out of a nested loop. Yeah. Go to. That's it. Okay. That's what I'm seeing on here from at least from a Stack Overflow so far. And yep, cool. All right, so inside of this one, a lot of C# developers are afraid to use go-to statements, but go-to statements are used in assembly. Like your C# code will compile down to go statements, where it tells it to go to this address, go to this function, go to this point in the code, and continue following the instructions from there. It's entirely normal in code, but for some reason in C# we usually consider it this taboo. All right, so inside of here, let's call this one, oh yeah, I want to escape this loop. We've decided not to draw this particular sphere, so we want to continue past it, which means I will put the line here. And we just need a label, which is, what do we just call it? It's just the name and then a colon. So that one is skip draw. Okay, am I missing something? What was the line? Why is it complaining? I have to be missing something here. No? Go to skip draw. Does it need an extra line behind it? Is that why it's complaining? Okay, I have to look that up. What is C# go to statement? Go to end. And it seems like it needs to have something in there, like it's almost like a switch case. Is that really how it does it? That I have to have an additional line after it? C# go to statement without an extra line of code at the end. 'Cause, I mean, you can create an infinite loop. If I were to put this up before it, um, right at the beginning of this check, then I would still have the same v, the same I value. What am I missing here? Hello. All right. Let's see. Yeah, at the moment, I'm trying to get I'm trying to get labels and go-to statements to work, but I'm faced with a problem that a go-to statement can jump to a label anywhere within the same method, but the compiler enforces that the label cannot be the very last thing in a method. Technically, it's not because it's inside of a for loop. I suppose I could increment I. I could force an increment of I and have it do the next one, but that also means that I could exceed the array type unless I'm checking the length again inside of here. And why do that? That's a lot of extra work. Skip draw. The other thing is I have to give it an instruction, but why? Assembly wouldn't require an extra instruction after this. Why? Oh, wait, I can literally just put a semicolon at the end and that's it? Okay, I'm happy with this. Much better. Yeah, I've never used a go-to statement without having some code after it. So this one was new to me. I've never seen that requirement before that I have to have something there. Anyway, but now I've got a way to escape out of two sets in the loop at once. Because basically, what I want is a break statement, like break break. Hey, can I actually try that? Break break. Nope, it only supports one at a time. Does break have any functionality? Can I say break two? The point of it is to see if I can break out of not this loop, but the previous one, or continue. Basically, I want the parent to continue, but... Oh, I just removed something. What did I put? Did I already have my if statement? So we're checking. Oh, no, I did not. I need an if statement inside of here. And basically, for each one of these plane points, I want to get the distance to the point. So if, and this is for the V position, I need to find out if the V position is within the frustum, the view of what we're trying to look at. So that is V dot position. No, the planes. I have the planes. So that's plane. And in brackets J. Planes, there we go. Planes dot get distance. I really wish that on this they had a square distance to this as well, because I really only need to see if it's within the boundaries of this. So if I have to check whether it's positive or negative on each of them. As long as they're each positive, that means it is within the frustum view, the camera view. So get distance to point. So I don't care about whether or not it gets the square root. I don't need the real distance. I just need the negative or positive. Okay, to point, and this is going to be v dot position is greater than 0. No, if it is less than 0, then we know it's outside of the frustum view. We're basically escaping early. We can just put that on the previous line. So we don't draw it. All right, perfect. Now we're also going to do the same check on the next one. So let's see, I'll just grab the same lines. Control C. Yeah. Okay, now on the next one, we're going to be drawing the mappings. These are all the individual lines. We also have the highlight index. That one we'll always draw. Sure, I don't care. It's one item. Why even bother to check? Okay, so over here, we are on the mappings. We want to find out if either one of the mapping points are within the frustum. So if planes V position, and this is not V position now, this is A. Where's it getting A? Oh, it's got the whole line up over here. All right. Well, we're going to put the whole line into this position. Delete. we check the values here, and inside of it, the settings have all of these. We're checking the position. We've only got 2 positions that we're checking. All right. Then we're not going to go to skip draw. We're going to go to skip draw mapping. And that one will be down here. Skip draw mapping. There. Probably doesn't need the space. Okay, so over there, and then let's do our second check on this, and that's basically the B position. So Control CVV. And now I need B. And was that the only point where we have that? Yes. So both sides of the line. If we're one side of the line that we have is going to exist in both sides, then I want that line to be there. And I'm only really interested in the end points. So if I happen to have a really long line and it cuts off in my view, I'm okay if I don't see that line cut through. Okay, this should be significantly lighter. However, no, there is one gotcha on that. If I am zoomed all the way out, it's still going to be trying to draw everything. And I have a separate thing I'm going to try for that. But the first thing I want to do is make sure that this actually works, that I am not doing that many draw calls. Okay, so right now I can move around pretty freely. And if I go Control Shift B, that puts on the editor. Now before, this was incredibly slow because because it was drawing everything in the world. Oh, that's much better. I can see the lines catching up on the sides as I turn. Perfect. Okay, now as I turn and I see a much more detailed area, that of course does get a lot more expensive. This actually works pretty nice. You get to see all these individual points building out. And I only care about a map. Oh, I escape the mapping if either of the points are out of the realm. Okay. I can accept that. Because I still get the circle to indicate that there is a point here. But I can't see that that ends up getting connected to anything. Or, yeah, like right here, I can see these points, I can see the circles in this corner, but I can't see that it's connected off to anything over here until I look a little bit more over that way. Okay, that works. And in the world space that I'm operating, I think this does work pretty well. No, it should be both A and B. If both A and B, I want one of the sides to be. If either of the sides is in there, I should see that line heading out. Because I am getting a lot of stuff cut out of here, and I don't know that this is affecting something else when I move it. All right, let's get that fixed. Okay, so right now it's an A-B test inside of here. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to say if, and let's put this in parentheses. And this part we're going to change to an or statement, or this part also in parentheses. There. So if this one, and that's what I wanted, an and. So if neither one of them are within the boundaries, then it will skip it. But otherwise, if at least one of them is in the boundaries, it's still going to draw it. Now, there's more efficient ways that I can draw on top of this one, so I'll come back to that. But this is the first test. I wasn't even positive the technology for this one would work yet. I was suspecting that I might get some. Okay, yeah, the lines show up on the edges. I get much better speed. Now, I mean, right when I move, the lines have to catch up, which is actually kind of cool. I like that. But then they do fill in all the space around the frustum. Okay. Now I can see that I have these points. Now, this also highlights points where my tooling is not working well. For instance, there is no connection from here to here. A vehicle passing by this area is isolated. In fact, a lot of these things, when I start to get into them, are I should have a depth on this. Like, there's literally so much happening, I can barely see the textures in here. They're getting faded out pretty dark. If I go to here, will I even see? Okay, I can still see the yellow, but it is getting buried by a lot of additional stuff here. Anyway, but gray backgrounds, grayish metal ones like these would disappear pretty quick. Okay, got a major speed boost. Happy with that. Now, where do I get the next one? The next one is the distance that I'm going to render. Either that or doing a physics check, a collision check to see, can I even see that point? Now, that can get expensive. So basically, I'm doing occlusion mapping. I think in this case, I don't want that. I'm just going to do a cheaper version of it where I have a zoom factor on this. So the traffic designer is what was actually doing this, right? Traffic designer, yes. Okay, now we're going to have a render distance. Where do we have our fields? Debugging fields, sure, that works. No, settings field, perfect. Public float render distance equals, sure, 100 meters. We'll just start it with that. 100F. Wait. Why is it unhappy? Oh, this is a struct. I can't set what initially is here. But I can depend on Unity's serialization later on. I just can't default it yet. Ooh, is there a parameter or an attribute? Let's find this one out. Unity inspector field attribute to set default value. Basically, when it's a class value, I can set what that default is just by setting the class. What I want to know is whether or not I can set that for a struct, because in a struct, you can't do that. Wait a minute. Are we in a sufficiently advanced state of .NET? I know that we've been upgrading versions, and I know one of the latest versions of .NET actually has it, but I think it's 10 that has it where you can set the values. Wait a minute. I already determined this one. I can't have an initializer on a struct. So, no, we're in like version 8. I always get confused by .NET and C# versions because it's like, yes, you're using .NET version 2.6 or 4, and then you're using C# 8, and here this one's using 10, but it's C#. There's like 2 different C# versions or branches, and it's kind of like, which one am I in? And here's the different versions, and so you see something like, what version are you using? And I don't know. I use C#. When whatever options appear to be available in what I'm coding. All right. So render distance, we'll set it there. Oh, yeah. Do we have an attribute? What? No, that's a go-to label. Oh, that's the wrong thing. I don't need that one. Oh yeah, here we go. Mono behavior. Let me guess, it's going to completely miss what I was trying to do. And yes, you can say that there. Oh, duh. I never set, unless it shows me. Range, hide and inspector. No. From a substruct. I'll leave that one to answer that. Okay, anyway, so we got render distance. Now I'm going to start using render distance down at the bottom. Render distance, I do need to be able to determine if the render distance changed. Let's create a debug version in here. Public float render distance squared. This is also a struct, right? Yes. Okay. Now on validate. Do we have an on validate? I don't know. It'll tell us if I try creating one. Public void. Does anyone know in Rider how you can determine or if it can list off the functions that are available inside of what you're looking at? That one's for assemblies. But like in Visual Studio, it just shows you a list saying, hey, in this class, you've got these classes. And then when you're inside the class, it says you've got these members. And so I can just check them from a drop-down list. I haven't seen anything like that in Rider. And it actually is really nice sometimes just to be able to see that. Now, where did those go? Ah, good morning, Daniel. Okay, so and what I'm working on right now is the making sure I can see things in the frustum, that I can filter stuff out and make my designer tools operate a heck of a lot faster, at least much closer to real time now. Okay, so now move node, we want to set a render distance, public void on validate, and I'm going to say debugging. This dot debug dot debugging dot and what is this one? Render distance squared equals this dot settings dot render distance times this dot settings dot render distance. Okay. So now we've got a squared render distance. Anytime that that's being changed, that should configure the rest, which is all serialized. So I will get those data or the field value back out of it. Now for the drawing system. Okay, so over here in the drawing system, I have an early escape to skip draw after checking the distance to point. That's a little slower. This is checking our frustum to see is it within the view of what the camera should be able to see. Well, I also don't want it to render all the way back. That just gets too cluttered and I can't even see what I'm looking at because the layers behind it are getting more difficult to see. Actually, I suppose I could do a gradient color base. So I start putting a gradient to get more faded or darker into the background. That that would work too. Okay. But no, I'm using this for performance as well for now. If, and this one, I don't need it to be in the loop. I just need to check beforehand. If, and what is this one? Vector 3 dot square magnitude. And that one is for, I need this for the vector. Square magnitude of which ones? That's my camera position. So camera dot current, which we should still have the reference of here. I should get that position locked down closer. I don't want to have to keep looking it up from the position because that one might get cut out of our memory. No, we keep going back to it. So it should still keep it relevant. Whatever, I'll just create a new one for it. Var cam pos equals camera dot current dot position. Also, I don't need to update this if I've already done it. Well, I could store the fields. So let's go transform dot position. That's a separate issue to deal with. Okay, so we've got the position, and we're going to say that this one is cam position minus v dot position. There. You couldn't understand, you already understood the variable I was clicking on, and you offered me the option to replace it with this other one, and yet you didn't actually replace it. Visual Studio does the exact same thing, and I don't get it. All right, so if we got the square magnitude, then we just want to see if the square magnitude is in this one, is it too far? If the square magnitude is greater than what we're looking at. So if square magnitude is greater than the this dot debug dot render distance squared, then we've got the exact same thing. Go to skip draw. Cool. Whoops. Put that back. Okay, now we got one other spot to do that. That was down here, and that's before we do the loop for each of the planes of the frustum. And then inside of here, we've got skip draw. Go to skip draw. I suppose I could also take the far frustum plane and move it closer, but meh. Go to skip draw. This one I think would be faster. Okay, so we need the position, and this is against V position. However, I need to check both distances on this one. So that again are these variables. Should I just grab the variables? No, we'll use it as is. Okay, so that other position is this one. I need the node dot position. So here's the position for A. Minus this gargantuan field. All right, over there. Then that one does not go to skip draw. It goes to skip draw mapping. And then finally, we're going to do this again. Control C, V, V. We're adding all this code and all of these distance squared checks and or various distance checks, and this actually makes the code faster. Oh, I hit Control B. What is? Did I just tell this to try building? Okay, I meant Shift B. So yeah, that should make the code faster. We can skip the drawing if we don't need to do it. All right, now back into the IDE. Just not to forget, just wanted to say that you every day looks more Walter White. Okay. I'll work on letting the power go to my head. Okay. Now let's get, oh, I don't want these things to show up anymore. Let's turn that one off. I don't need those anymore. All right, now Control Shift B. Oh, there's no value set. Settings has a field distance of that. There we go. So we're starting to see some of the world get rendered around me. That's still pretty close. That's 100. Let's change that to, let's go with 1,000. That's still a lot. 500? 400? Still, oh, that's 4,000. There we go. There, because like right here, I can see that I've got, oh, wow, I can see lots of stuff going on there. As I get closer, I do want to be able to alter this. So let's clear this one up a little bit. 1,000 is, I just want to make this easier to edit with. Oh, that also has connection points from there to there. See, right now it looks great. Like this is going across a flat surface, but something in this also realizes that there's a triangle inside of this mesh. So my procedural work ended up connecting those. Okay. That's good to see. And this is also a huge amount of lines. Why do I need this many connections from there to there? Oh, I know why. Okay, select something so I don't have the focus. This is actually way too many lines. How do I get rid of all this extra lines in here? This isn't my debug line tools. This is something else. Like, I expect that when I'm going to look at the world in this mode, but something is highlighting and rendering and showing me all of those features inside. I can turn off gizmos. There. Okay. But yeah, on this, I have these corners over here. So if I were to take, well, do I have something I can take? No, I don't. Whatever. Uh, I wanted to highlight it, but yeah, I've got these corners. So there's actually 1, 2, 3 points right there. There's 3 points right there. But then that's not the whole thing. There's actually 2 triangles connected to at least one of the points from this rectangular panel right here. So if I go over to this one, that's almost impossible to see. There is 2 lines coming into here. And then, so this triangle actually has 2 lines going out that way, 2 lines going out from that one. So every one of the triangles ends up getting a point registered at this spot. And this indicates that my merging code wasn't working. All right. So now that I know the merging code isn't working, Control-Shift-B, let's put that visual back. Oh, I turned off gizmos. There. Oh yeah, I also made a change before all of my lines in here were blinking, and that's because I was using aline.draw in the update, which it allowed, but it was much better operating inside of the gizmos. So I used on gizmo selected. So if I have the traffic designer selected, now it's not only that, I have a hotkey in my code that activates the setup. So I have to press Control-Shift-B. If I have traffic selected, but then I hit traffic design, oh no, the current one does require, only requires that I selected it. That's cool. So let's go back to traffic designer. Yeah, as long as I have traffic designer selected, it shows me what areas and tooling I can work with. However, also looking at this, a gradient is necessary since I can see the stuff behind. I can't edit the stuff behind. I should do a Z order. A Z order prevents anything that is behind an object from being rendered. So it pays attention to the depth map, or to the depth texture. All right, so that would be perfect for this because I need to be able to interact with, when I draw, when I click, when I see these, it's only what I should see. Okay, so let's get a depth one. A line. Where do I do this? All right, Unity, A line, draw asset. Set Z order to not show over. Yeah, I'll just do that. That's probably close enough. A-line usage, advanced usage, set object draw order. That's probably exactly what I need. So going to this one. Universal render pipeline lit. Is this one talking about A-line? No, it is not. Okay, but this AI came up with a solution. All right, so inside of this one we have the behavior drawing get builder true and draw.clear. Okay. With depth testing will be hidden behind objects. Draw.with depth testing. Okay. Let's do that. Because this one, it's not really usable when it has all this other rendering stuff show up behind it. And resetting this distance is kind of a pain. But getting all that stuff and then understanding I'm supposed to be interacting with a field over here. Oh, selection. V to select. I can't select anything. You are trying to draw functions within Unity's on Gizmos draw. Use the Gizmos callback. Ooh, I don't have that. I'm not using that one. All right, so I have more than one reason to go back to it. All right, so inside of this, the draw line, we're going to say draw. And was there another one? Is there a draw gizmos? Draw gizmo. Okay. So we're going to do draw gizmo dot with depth testing. Does it not have that? Okay, what is this one? Draw dot gizmos, draw dot editor. Okay, draw dot editor. Got it. Draw dot editor dot. What was the Z order command? With depth testing. Okay, well, let's just change these over to the correct one. So we're doing in editor. That should be fine for gizmos. A-line draw dot editor gizmos. Okay, scripting API gizmos, draw gizmos editor window, A-line, visual debugging with it. Okay, getting too much information on there that, okay, yeah, we can get all those types of things. We render those ones, yay. What do we have? Similar library, draw. This is going on in draw gizmos, and you are using draw. Draw in local space with color, with line width. Oh, so I can literally just call those other functions earlier. So like at the beginning of this one. And that one is not using anything about it being in gizmos. Interesting. I'll have to get the Walter White hat. Let's see, selected, where do we go? Distance from surface. No, we got the line. We want to draw the line. Let's continue with the dot editor and see if that clears up all the other errors we were getting. Dot editor. Skip draws. There, we're drawing the item. Over here, before the skip drawing, we draw the line. Okay. And then on this one, we also, I was already doing editor, or I already changed it. All right, let's keep that one in there. Now let's go back to the code and see if that fixes anything. Because I was getting a lot of red errors, or a lot of errors in the console. Console logs slow things down. Every time it's doing that, it has to add stuff to the console. And that text to the debug log starts getting expensive to keep increasing. Clear. Now, moving around. Okay, selection works pretty well. I've got no complaints coming in from the editor. Oh, what's that? Use draw functions within Unity's which one? That was in Traffic Designer line 326. Okay, so the line was below there. Hit Designer 365. Traffic Designer 365. Editor.sphere. This one, that's editor. So what's it complaining about? Draw star functions within on. Use this package's gizmos callbacks instead. Okay, how? Where? Copy. Now, where is this thing? A-line. What? Okay, that, no. All right, so now inside of here, Unity A line. Still doesn't work, sadly. Blah, blah, blah. Working exception. Debug.log. No. Okay, loads of serialization. What is, okay, where are you actually using the draw call? This is a rather large class to have to look through and find your draw calls. Well, wait a minute, you're still in the broken code at this point, so that doesn't matter either. Okay, make sure that the scene, this is generic Unity, not what I'm looking for. Okay, so what about gizmos? Blah, 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 blah. Gizmos, gizmos. Control F, gizmos. Draw object gizmos. Okay, so inside of here we got the draw gizmos in local space transform. Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay, helper visualizers, blah, blah, blah. Mono behavior gizmo. It's a separate class for mono behavior. The designer tool is not something I need externally, so I'm okay with this. Gizmo context in selection this, draw wire cylinder. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure. If you have a lot of gizmos in the scene, it can sometimes cause quite a bit of clutter. One solution is to draw simple gizmos most of the time and only draw elaborate or detailed gizmos when the object is selected. I want to be able to see the ones that are in scene opacity occluded. Okay, let's go into project settings and see if I can just tune this. Project settings, A-line, opacity. Oh yeah, right there. Cool. So I can still see that there's other items underneath it, like especially when it's darker. Awesome. But I'm still generally working with the tools inside of here. And there is a pathway that goes through there, but I don't want those lines to show up as something the cars will try to go through. This whole world needs a redesign. Of course, the city needs a redesign as well. The models and meshes, I should be using individual pieces, not entire city blocks as the mesh. Okay, way too many points here. This absolutely should have turned into effectively just one point. Okay, let's work on merging these ones together, improving the merging. All right. Yeah, I don't want to attempt to draw the ones once they're farther away, so let's just set the whole thing to occlude them completely. Perfect. Now, what about the other ones? Solids. Same. I don't need the blocks. And curve resolution. Ooh, no, right here. Text. It draws text too? Ooh, I didn't know that. I'm going to keep that one in there. And curve resolution. Okay, cool. I've got those ones in there. Now, A-star functions, I'm going to skip those ones for now. I don't care about that. All right, what I do care about is the merging. So now let's take a look at the merging code inside of Procedural Traffic Designer. Merging code happens here. Now, one problem I ran into is the amount of time, the sheer volume of stuff it had to go through. So one thing I want to do is put a filter in. Let's say public int max count equals 10,000. The objective is that once I've reached 10,000 points, I'm going to stop. reporting them. That way I have less stuff to process, and I can reduce that number to make the processing speed faster for now. I can improve performance later, but for actually testing and validating this one's kind of tough. Okay, so 329,000 is way too expensive, especially since it has to do cross comparisons with every single other object in it. That's just an insane amount of work it has to do. Okay, so after I'm getting into used. If used ever goes up past that, that's I think going to be my good test on this. Now I'm also adding a full triangle here, so let's let it add the full triangle. And then at the end of this, okay, so this is where I collect the points to begin with, mappings and nodes. So right after it, I'm going to make an escape level here. If, oh, not escape. This one is completed all, or completed, what is that one? Let's try bake. We're trying completed detection. Node mapping points. Completed node mapping. Sure. Colon. Okay, now up here, we're just going to put an if statement. If used dot count, used dot length is greater than, what do we have? Is greater than, what did I set this one? Max count. Is greater than max count, then go to completed node mapping. All right, that will reduce the baking time significantly, because the end results will have far less that it needs to actually process for the merging, and then I can start to evaluate. Now, I also have that only is going to reduce the number that it should see, and I trust that code that I just created pretty well. Yeah, because I keep increasing the length, so we got the nodes there for how many, and it was 329,000 for what we were seeing before. So putting a 10K cap on it. Did I put a 10K cap? Another way just to be more accurate in your numbers, since actually, can I do that? Can I say 1,0,0? Because I don't think I've ever been able to. No. To replace commas, you can use times 1,000. So for getting like a large number like that, 10,000, I put that in there, and that tells me I'm now at hundreds, 10,000. And I can read that a lot better than a whole bunch of zeros after it. It also, that would be a compile time constant, so it wouldn't take any time at runtime. Okay, so merging. Let's take a look at the merging code. So is close enough. Now, how do I determine whether or not two things are close enough? This is distance from surface is what I'm currently using right now. I think I need to change that. Let's go to a different, let's create a different field for this. F12, distance from surface. This is what's being used on the traffic data. Let's go back to the procedural designer, and I'm going to set a separate field for this one. Public float merge gap equals, and we're going to set this one to 6F. I want ones that are closer here. Let's see how that one works. So anyway, merge gap. And now over in the code, where's the stuff we just added? The merging code is right here. And we're going to use this from merge gap to define if 2 points are close enough to merge. Merge gap. If they are not close enough for merge gap, then we merge them. Wait, if they are close enough, am I doing this backwards? No, because most of the things would get combined into just like one block then. Okay. Why does this feel weird? If we are close enough, we should merge, which means we should execute this code down here and merge them. Okay. B equals n. Wait a minute. This is not right. N2 is the used option. So this is what's used. We've got N2 and N1 that we're comparing here. So N2 and N1 for AB. So basically a mapping is 2 points, and we're trying to detect, and we want to say that this point is connected to that point, but it could go either direction in the map. And so when we enter this, we have if A equals N2, because that's effectively our node identification, then we're going to remap that to N1. Now, if B equals that right there, that is the mistake. Okay. Both of them, if they equal N2, we want to convert them to N1. If it was N2, I was saying it was still N2. That was a mistake. All right, Control Shift S, and back to the code. Now that we're inside of here, we should be getting 10,000. I might not have this point up anymore, but let's try it. Also, where it merges might be completely off, but this should be valid. So first off, let's try. We've got a cap on here. Okay, max count is 10,000, merge gap is 6. Try it. Did it finish already? No, it's still doing its thing. Okay, last time I gave up watching this after 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, and then ended up coming back later. I'm going to give this one about 1 minute this time and see what happens with it. In the meantime, what else is going on? Okay, so with this one right now, I'm hoping that the merge will combine these things, but I don't think they'll render in the same spot that I'm in, because that'll be straightforward luck that this is even in zone A. I'm not positive about that. Though I think the one at the bottom, the flat one, I think that is zone A that I've got. I can't actually check it for now, but that's still increasing and we're up to about a minute. So now let's put a debug check in here to see where we are. That's where I'm expecting you to take the most time. We'll also put one over here. Okay, now, still running. So now let's connect to the editor. Did it finish? No, it's still running. And that's supposed to be connected to the editor. Is it telling me that it's not actually checking any of these things? It it's still going up. Where's my loop? What's actually stopping this right now? What? Okay, put some more breakpoints in. Okay, it's not on that one. How about this one? Or this one, or this one, or one of these lines. Or maybe one of these. Wait, we're on this one. Okay. All right, so what are we seeing in this one? This one we're trying to erase duplicates. M1 is 315,000. How on earth did I get to a mapping number of 315,000? I was expecting that more around like 330,000. No, it wasn't. Okay, so what are my actual values? The mapping's length is 320,000. What are my node values? Um, traffic design.nodes. Let's expand that out. The count capacity is 524. The length is 10,002. Okay, it took advantage of the fact that it could stuff three in there by the time it before it would check. So that number works. We're still doing a check against this. What were my mappings before? My nodes were up to 329,000, so my mappings must have been a lot higher than that. Okay. Anyway, so what are we at then for our values? In this one, we're trying to compare M1, which is our primary one. We're going up in value on that one. No, we're dropping down. So a higher value in this means we're near the beginning of this part. The next one, mappings, the second one on here, M2, we are starting from that point and making our way farther down. That's just operating slow. Actually, I don't know. Maybe the middle one took longer because we had to build all those, but still, it has to do a crossover of 329 by 329. We are at least most of the way done. Let's let that continue for the time being. Stop. Okay, so that is still continuing. 10,000 was too much. So at least it's most of the way done here. Let's put another break check. So it's been done for going for about 10 seconds. And we were at 315,000. Let's connect it back to the Unity editor and get an interval of where we are. There we go. Okay, so M1 is at 310. It took 5,000. Maybe that was 20 seconds. So it's got a long way to go. That's got like 60 more to go. 60 more seconds. So a minute. Okay. Stop. All right. While that's running, one quick solution would be that I slow time down on this. Another one is that I could rearrange all my mappings. I could to make them sort or to operate faster. I could do a sort or a swap on it where I'm effectively first going through the list and saying, make sure that A is always the lowest of the mappings. So the lowest index of the mappings. So at that point, it sets the lowest index. Next, it goes through the array and sorts them by A. That way, once A no longer equals the same value, I know that there is no longer anything connecting to A, to the same A value. No, that's not true. Because anytime something lower in it is connected to it, it's still going to do the same thing. So that doesn't really work. Let's go back to this one. A timer inside of this and changing the values down to like 1,000 might be a better way to start. It should start close to one corner, build up the triangles that are adjacent to each other, and so I'll check out the corner of the level. But we are at 6 minutes. That is a long time. Okay, another check. Attached to a Unity editor. And then let's see what M1 is at. Yeah, I know. M1, 291,000. Oh my God, that's so slow. All right, can I move this? Just go to here and say, forget about the rest of that. This is not the code you're looking for. Oh, if I stop it with that, does that end the instruction set in Unity? I've never tried that. Moving. Oh, there it is. Oh, I told it to play, didn't I? Okay. But whatever, that environment is free. We're going to change the number of objects that I can look at. Max count is now. Let's start with 100. Let's start with 100. Okay. Try. how much baking time is this going to take? Okay, and there's more things on baking that I'm going to need to improve for performance. But every time that I come back to here, I keep thinking, okay, these meshes, these models, there's so many problems with their design for this level that I want to simplify it. I want to create blocks to exemplify what a part of a building looks like. I was originally resilient to this. I didn't want to uh, create this system because I was thinking I was going to have so many different edge cases to deal with. But this world is very blocky. There's only a couple things at like a 45 or a 20-degree angle. And even in those cases, that's still pretty easy to deal with. All right, that's still running. It's been running for 50 seconds, but now I can't see any numbers about our status of where we're doing, and I haven't reported any of it up here. That'd be a good item to do. Let's go back into here and see what we're doing. Attach to Unity Editor. Oh, did it already finish? I think it already finished. No, it caught it. Okay, so M1, what is our mappings length? We're looking at 279,000 mappings. Am I not clearing the mappings? Am I keeping old mappings? Is that it? Traffic design.clear, F12, goes to the mappings, erase all. I did a shortcut on this one. I never adjusted the length. Clear. Oh yeah, clear length right here. Oh, I called nodes.clear length. I am increasing the mappings every time. This is looking at old data. Oh. Here I am, badly using my own high performance code. Okay. So we call the clear function. Wow, that was a bad mistake. Well, positive thing is I'll probably have a lot less issues or performance issues showing up inside the numbers now. Every time I executed it, this thing was growing more, it was growing weaker in its code. Okay, so now where am I in the instructions? We're going to set that down to here. And stop the code. Now inside of this, we got this one in there, Control Shift S, make sure that's saved, return to Unity, recompiles. We'll just run the number again. Max count 100 should not have anywhere near that type of number of connections. Yeah, like it should max out at like 10,000 or under 10,000. Anyway, let's go with draw, and that would be with the horrible model. So try. Oh. Bake took 8,000 seconds. I think it took... Wait, okay, so where are the lines? Oh, okay, I can't see everything right now. Where's my A line? Okay, A line. Where's everything? Where are all my debug lines? Okay, I've got those things. Oh, here we go. They're right here. Okay, so what do we see for merging points? We see 3 different points right here. Why do I have extra triangles like right here? Okay, let's reduce this back down. Oh, that's bad. I also have the triangular, it's also cutting through here. I haven't done any of the raycast checks. I know that's going to be slower in performance, so I haven't done any of that yet. It's supposed to cut out any of the triangles that go through there. It basically means that within this mesh, there is a solid object that goes underneath this, and these cubes are stacked on top of each other, and nothing got cut out. This is one of the reasons why I kind of want to go back to basics. So this particular set, there's nothing wrong with it in most cases. It works quite nicely until you get to procedural work where you need the mesh to look cleaner. Um, but if I go over to here and I'm looking at the model design, I can see that the model design for this has a full surface right here. It's not just this section that gets cut out. But at the same time, the buildings, it's not a single building. This is one mesh for the entire surface of one of the sides of this city. So this side is basically an inverted cube of 6 city blocks, of 6 city regions. All right, well, let's go back to Control-Shift-B. And that stuff is all right here. Now let's try test some of the other code on this. So V. Isn't V select? Yeah, V is select node. I'm not getting that one selected, but not that one. That one selects, that one selects, that one selects. Those don't select. Does it keep on the old one that I selected? No, it's highlighting something else. It thinks something else is close. There are multiple points here, aren't there? Okay, let's test that theory. I'm going to move something. That is done with X. X marks the spot. Yeah, there were 2 here. And then there's an extra circle. So it happened to overlap the first one. What is this one? V to select. There's no node here. Why is it drawing a circle? Is that from this side? No, that's not from this side. That's a node. It thinks there's a node here. So V, select this one, and then let's go to, maybe there's another overlap here? Let's move that one as well. Nothing's happening. I'm unable to select the points. Some of my drawing tools are now broken. Clear that one. I don't care about that. We can see the points. We can see where they're collecting and generating the different points. We are merging the spots together. This makes me really curious. How many points do we actually have here? I was putting 1,000 in. We could have like 1,003 or 1,002. Where's my designer code? So we're going to go up to this one, that one right there. Why is that one taking so long to... Oh. Yeah, it's got a lot of items in there for it to create. But that shouldn't be taking this long. Why is it taking this long to repaint stuff? I really wish that would highlight what was triggering that to happen. Okay. Whoa. 524,000 values. Why are there 524,000 values when I put a cap on this at 10,000? This is using my custom code. Serial, allowing this to be serialized doesn't deal with the fact of destroyed data. There's supposed to be 10,000 here. 10,000 by 10,000. So Unity will still keep showing that one up there. Great. Okay, so on deserialization, I need to reset the size. So on after deserializing, we set the value, if capacity does not equal values.length, it's supposed to set a new array of values. It should only be doing this if the value's length and capacity don't align. And inside of this one, our length is set to 0. On deserialization, it should have just cleared everything. It didn't have a reason to deserialize. That only happens when I start a game or when I load the environment. That should also happen from a code rebuild, where if I recompile, probably not for this one. If that object never changed, maybe it's doing detection to say, well, this object never changed, so we can still hold the original object in memory. I don't think it would do anything that intelligent, but maybe it does. Okay, going out and resetting that one. Baked procedural. What have we got here? Baked procedural is going to have too much data. 329,000. Yeah, 329,000 nodes, which have indexes and positions that they can map off to. Okay. Yeah, it's been adding stuff, appending it to the end here, so something in my code is not working because the length shouldn't be permitting that. Well, it set it, but then it's rewriting it, and I don't know what the actual length is. So clear reset length. I need one that just literally reconstructs the memory for it. Okay. Reconstruct. So instead of clear, I'm going to reconstruct it where I create the statements up here. So over here we call clear, and we're going to say F12. And in this case, nodes dot nodes equals new ref list node. Sure. Same thing for mappings. All right. So we reset that data. So much for trying to make more performant code. Well, I've still got other things in here that will make up for that. Okay, we can't use the .clear function inside. The traffic design, that's what actually was doing that. Yeah, that resets what the traffic design holds on to. Let's go back and used, we create that one as a new one every time. Back to the game. Try bake. The baked code, what does the baked one use? Let's go to here and I need that reference. So, all right, inside of this one, we have baked traffic. Is this using this uses the struct. We've got just a simple array of nodes. Okay, perfect. It's not using the list. That part's manual. Okay, now let's go back over here and we're going to bake one more time and see what this makes the data look like, because that's 329,000 in the baked data. Should absolutely not be. I didn't bake. I don't think I did. All right, I just did the try, which is what the procedural work does to put the work into the designer, and then the designer has to bake it. Okay, so traffic designer. Oh, that data's gone now, so let's try. Okay, so there's our new data. Now bake it. Baking is only trying to take the data that's in here and compile it into a way that's faster to read at runtime. It's not doing anything to validate that data. I think it might have something to validate that there are at least 3 points connected to any one point. or 3 mappings connected to any one point. That way items can always run around in a circle and something doesn't come to a dead end. Because there is one blocker in the code where it says if a car is traveling along a path, once it gets to one of these endpoints, it has to select another point, but it can't be the point it just came from. So if it comes to a dead end and the only place it can go to is back to the place it came from, the code logic won't let that happen, and the car will just basically be stuck there. Actually, I'm not even sure if that would, if I don't know if if the cars just keep trying to go right now. Okay, that's still trying to deal with the baking process. The bake should not have that many items in it. What is this one going to? Car traffic procedural designer. And what does that have for its bake traffic? I can't tell her. Wait a minute. Why is that busy? But then over here, I can still interact with this stuff. That's not something I was expecting. Okay, 128 mappings and 128 nodes. That's a lot closer to values I was expecting. Okay, so if I go over to Traffic Designer, I can see these points. What is this importing assets thing? What's it doing over here? Exception, you are trying to draw functions. Yeah, we know about that. Clear. Okay, background processes. No background tasks. What are you? The system is not busy. Whatever happened, that didn't get freed up. The baking system. The baking system has functionality inside there. Let's go over to the baking code. Traffic Designer, and then let's go find our baking code, but I can't travel to it quickly, so I need to find it this way. That's the editor, traffic system. Where's the bake code? Here's the bake. Okay. Inside of the bake, we have the editor display progress bar and editor close progress bar. Now, do we have any early exit from here? No, but if it crashed, if it had a bug and that wasn't in the exceptions that I noticed, then this would still be busy up there. But why is it saying importing assets? Anything it would have been saying would have been along the lines of baking traffic. It's like it got crossed over with that, with an importing assets, and both of them had access to it. And so maybe it was somehow in a state with Unity where I was crossed over with it and wasn't able to mark out that this was actually removed. Like it double negatives, like if they did something where it's enabled equals not enabled. And so if two people call it at once, or two people call it in sequence, then it just flips it right back to the original state. Okay, so that's up there, but it's doing literally 0. I've never seen that bug before. All right, so let's try this again. Try. Okay, took 0 seconds. Good. And now bake. Okay, initializing baking. It should change text. Importing assets. Okay, it finished what it was doing. The changes happened. Is that I called edit horizontal or editor horizontal. What is this one? On inspector GUI. Okay, so there's nothing special we're doing there. I'm not even marking the data as dirty. Okay, yeah, I've got some kind of Unity bug, it appears. All right, but yeah, once it goes back to importing assets, it's done. Index out of range. Ooh, okay, this might be what was happening. Traffic Designer line 476. 476 is inside of here, so we exited before we were able to clear the process bar, and since it wasn't still holding on to it, I guess it changed what the display progress bar was and never actually closed it. Okay, so what is the error here? Inside of this one, we've got, do we have a for loop? No, we're telling it to bake. Index out of boundary arrays. That's 476. That's going into bake traffic line 53, bake traffic line 77. Node positions, and here, connect node. Wait, why is it doing a connect node here? That code should, the baking should not be doing a connect node. Okay, so what have we got in here? That back to this code exception. Index out of range, traffic designer line 476. This happens, the only reason I'm in here is because I hit the button, the bake button. Okay, so I hit the bake button. And this one calls the bake function. So we take the traffic data.baked and we bake it from all of these, the positions, the normals, the mappings, and the distance from surface. Now, what was the other line of code in here? It's saying that, okay, bake traffic line 53 is being called. So 476 is calling bake traffic line 53. Bake, okay, over here. Oh, okay, got it. So it's doing connect nodes. Now inside of these are all arrays. So I do have an exception that's happening. I'm running connect node and I'm passing in information where one of the variables is out of range. Is this the hard cap set to? No, that's out of bounds set. Okay. So we throw an exception that should crash it right there. But we don't hit that one. We do get index out of range exception, but its index was outside the bounds of the array. It's not the error that I've got. In that case, node position node count equals, and we pass in the position that we wanted. Indexes, do we do anything that manipulates the data, that destroys it? No, we've got our arrays. We've got the reference to node in map A, and wait a minute, that should be in map B as well, right? Okay, let's go back to this reloading domain, and hopefully that'll clear away this thing. Actually, I'm going to need to call it a night. I'm going to be heading out and I'm going to have to refigure out what's going on with my code. Okay, reserializing assets. That's probably, yeah, I can interact with everything now. Okay, so first thing is we're going to try baking. All right, that finished. Try bake took 2,000 seconds. Incorrect. Maybe 2 seconds. Okay, now we're going to bake that data. Bake, and we got an index out of range exception again. Okay, so I've got an exact spot that I can put a breakpoint and then check that out, but that'll have to be later. I'm going to call it a night, and good night to everyone. Now, where's my stuff to close everything down? Bye.